Hello everyone, I get asked all the time for ideas as to how we can use paint chip samples. Of course, many of you know that we've recently undergone or are in the process of undergoing a house renovations. It's still not finished, by the way. We're waiting for the decorators to come back to finish things off. But I've got several paint chip samples here. These are a really nice size. These are crown ones. And are they crown? Yep, crafted by Crown. Let's have a look. And these measure 5 3/4 inches by 4 and just under 4 1/4. Beautiful colours here. I got lots of these in different colourways, and so these are what I'm going to be using today. I'm also going to be using some gouache paints. I've got my 2 sets of Arrtx gouache paints that I reviewed a couple of months ago, so I'm going to be using some of these. You know, if you don't have paint samples, you could easily paint a background using acrylic paints. If you don't have gouache, you could use acrylics as well. So, you know, at the end of the day, just use what you have. I'm going to start off by using this grey, black, green, which happens to be called Work of Art. So that's the one I'm going to start off by using first. So let me just move the others to one side. I'm also going to be using this Naples yellow gouache. I think that will work really well with this. So I'm just going to take the lid off. I've got my little vial that my friend Mel bought me. I absolutely love these. And what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of the gouache in the lid here of my pot. So let's just put some of this, water it down slightly, not too much. And what I'm going to do is do the 3-dot paint method that I did in the video I shared a couple of weeks ago. Let me just check I'm in camera. So what I will do is put 3 dots here like this. And then I'm going to turn my card to one side, add a little bit of water and flatten my brush, and I'm just going to paint myself some petals really loosely. And of course with gouache we get lots of streaks and marks, and that's fine. That all adds to the character of it. It's completely different to watercolour. So that's the first 3 petals. We can add a little bit more paint and then 2 more dots. So 1 here and 1 here. And I just think this is a really good way of getting your flowers in a more symmetrical kind of orientation. For those of you that, you know, struggle with composition of flowers, this is just the perfect method. And this was something that Creation CC shared a couple of years ago. I shared a video a couple of weeks ago using watercolours as well, and I'll leave the link to both videos in the description box below. Now I am just going to heat set this with my heat tool, and then I'm going to go over it again just to make it a little bit more opaque. Gouache dries incredibly quickly, which is one good bonus. It's incredibly opaque as well. So what I'm going to do now is just go over my flowers again with another layer of my gouache. Doesn't have to be perfect. We want imperfections just to give it a little bit of character. Let's just add a little bit more paint here. This has been dried, by the way, with my heat tool. Let's add a bit more, just pressing down on the flat of my brush. And we'll do the same with the last 2 as well. Let's add a little bit more water. Bit more paint. And the last one, bit more water. With gouache, you really do need to add water, otherwise it's too thick and too hard to paint with. But as I've said, you could use acrylic paints if you wanted to do something similar. Watercolours wouldn't work on an opaque background like this, but you know, acrylic paints would be ideal. So that's my first flower. Let's paint another one. So I'm just going to add a bit more paint to my lid. trying to get my paintbrush into a nice point to paint with. So we want it a little bit lower down. So here we go. And don't overthink this either. And of course this is going to go off the edge of the page, which is fine. And then we'll add two more dots, one here and one here, and we'll finish the flower off. And I just think that turning the piece of paper or page just really helps with the process. So there we go, that's our flower. And you can see that my petals are not particularly even. That's fine, it really doesn't matter. So what I'll do now is dry this again with my heat tool and go over with another layer of gouache. Gouache dries really quickly, so it hasn't taken long for my petals to dry. Next up, I'm going to be using some of this gorgeous colour here, which is called Celeste. Just look how beautiful that is. And again, I'll scoop out some paint and pop it into the lid. Just water it down slightly. I'm just using my gorgeous votive that Mel bought me for my birthday. And what I'm going to do is just add the centre to my flower, just dotting this in, and we'll do exactly the same on the other side. So the fact that we've gone a bit, you know, wonky here with the petals, it really doesn't matter. We can bring it together by doing this. And again, just give that a quick dry with my heat tool. Next, I'm going to use an acrylic paint marker. You could use a Posca paint pen. I'm using the markers that I received from ZSCM. And what I'm going to do is just add my stem like this. We'll add one here as well. I'm going to thicken these at the bottom and just make them really loose and sketchy. Do the same on this side here as well. I'm just going to tidy my petals up a little bit. I just want this one here, which now that it's dried is just looking a bit too raggedy. I'm just going to tidy these up just a tad, not too much. I still want them to be loose and scribbly. But let's just tidy these up a little bit. I think that's fine. Next, I'm going to add some leaves. I'm going to use the green again. I don't want to introduce too many colours to this, so I'm just going to keep within the same colourway. We'll add another one over here. And we can add another one on this side here as well. And I'm starting off at the point, pressing down and just lifting up. Isn't that pretty? And giving this another dry with my heat tool before I add some doodles. Gouache dries incredibly quickly, which is fantastic. So I'm going to be using my ZSCM acrylic paint marker. You could use a Posca paint pen, use whatever you have. And I'm going to take one flower, one petal, doesn't matter which one. If it's not working, just press your paint pen down to activate it. So I'm just going to start off in the middle and I'm just going to add some scribbly lines. Just like this. Again, we'll start off in the middle here. Turn your paper around if it's easier to work on. I'm just adding really loose lines. Just keep moving it around, press down as and when I need to activate my pen. I really like these pens. They're nice and opaque, easy to work with. Just pressing really lightly. If you want a lighter touch as well, just hold it higher up on the pen and you'll get a lighter touch. And I just love the details that that this adds. And I'm going to continue to do this on the other petals, on the other flower as well. So start off in the middle. Here we are. Oh, let's add another one there. Just keep pressing your pen down if you need to activate it. Just really subtle detail, but how effective is that? Next, I want to add some details to my leaves. I'm going to add a thickish layer of white just to the center. Let's just press this down and activate my pen. Here we are. And I'm just going to add detail to my leaves on the outside. Just been really sketchy and loose about this as well. This looks so pretty. You see, I'm going slightly outside of my leaf as well, just because I like that, that look. And I'll do the same on this leaf here as well. And I can add more detail to the center of my stem if I want to. I'm going to use one of my Arrtx acrylic markers from this set here. I reviewed this several months ago. I'll leave the link to these in the description box below. I love these markers. Now they have a bullet nib and a brush nib. I'm just going to use the brush nib, and I'm just going to apply just a few lines with a really light touch all the way around the outside of my flower. And this is like an indigo blue. Love this colour. I'll do the same on this one here as well. Just a really light touch. And then I think we'll add some more white to the centre as well. I'm just going to add some dots, and I'm just going to keep it as simple as this. I think that's absolutely gorgeous, and how wonderful as a card topper, or you know, just something, a piece of ephemera to add to your journals. These can be used in so many different ways. Isn't that just beautiful? So I've got my white pen out. I'm just going to add a few white details as well, just because. Of course, once you start doodling, you can't stop. That just lightens and brightens it and just adds another layer of interest. I like how that looks. And I really am just going to keep it as simple as this. Just looks so pretty. And one more thing I want to do is just add a few white splatters. I'm just going to grab a piece of parchment paper. I've watered down some of the white gouache here, and I'm just going to gently splatter over my background. I don't want to overdo it too much, but how pretty does that look? Isn't that just lovely? Of course, there was no way that I was going to be able to stick to just making one of these, as much as I love it. So I've made two more. This one here I made using white for the background of my flowers. I've added turquoise to the centre and then indigo to make my lines. Just love that one there. This one here I've mixed pink gouache and red gouache together to create my flowers. I've used lime green for the centres and the leaves, and then of course white to create my lines. designs. Absolutely love those. And I just think these would make the most wonderful card toppers. You could also use these as journaling cards or tip-ins if you wanted to. You could even add, you know, tea or coffee stain paper to the back of these, although I absolutely love the names on the backs of these. This one here is Craft Fair. This one is Button Box, and this one here is Work of Art. Aren't those just so much fun? Now, I don't want anybody to feel if they haven't got paint swatch samples that they can't do this. You could just as easily paint a piece of mixed media paper or watercolour paper, even cardstock, with some acrylic paints, and then use either gouache or acrylic paint to create your flowers. So, you know, at the end of the day, just use whatever you have. These are so much fun to create, and I'm sure that you can improvise with your own supplies. I'm leaving the video here for today, but I hope it's given you some inspiration and ideas as to how to create really simple projects using stuff that most of us have got lying around our house, or perhaps that we can improvise with. If you've enjoyed today's video, of course, I'd always appreciate a thumbs up. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know which one of these is your favourite. But most importantly, thanks for watching. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you all again soon. And for anybody that wants to follow along with this challenge, this is the Let's Get Arty challenge in the Facebook group, the Mixed Media Emporium. I'll leave the link to the Facebook group in the description box below, so please do feel free to come along and join us.